for some people, a big chunk of money is a problem, right? You don't want that fall on your kids because maybe they don't have money habits or whatever. You don't want the tax bill, the depreciation recapture, all of that nastiness. There's unwinding this as you get older is really takes some planning. So again, seller financing with the big 10-year prepay or whatever it is a very good idea and something we will likely leverage. Yes. All righty. You probably have seen this young man all over the place. He's been on Bigger Pockets. He's doing big things in real estate. He got his portfolio up to 200 units. But you know what? He's matured. He's got a little older. He's got a little wiser. He is now looking to downsize his portfolio, simplify the management of his portfolio, and even upgrade his portfolio. What the heck are you doing, Cody Davis? What's going on?
Hey, it's great to be here. Good to see you. And yeah, my perspective's changed a little bit over the last few years of growing up and seeing how things actually play out.
Very, very. It's funny. I don't, no disrespect. You and I are boys. But when you say grow up and you're like 7 or 8 years younger than my daughter, it gives this old man a chuckle. So I apologize.
Glad I can make you laugh.
Great answer. So I apologize. I won't do that again. So why don't we remind people of your kind of origin story, just so we can talk about the run up to the 200 units, all the things you were doing, the move and the groove and the partnerships. And then you had this epiphany. It's like, hey, time to simplify, time to upgrade, time to downsize. Why don't you give us 3 to 5 minutes of who Cody was running up this hill, and then we'll talk about the graceful walk down.
Well, the very beginning started at 18, and I was helping pressure wash and clean up yards, trying to make a little bit of money. And someone mentioned, hey, you should, instead of working on these places, you should figure out how to buy one. And I put out a little Facebook post and told people what I was doing, get a little bit of attention. Didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I was looking for help.
Right.
So I put out that little Facebook post saying, hey, I'm working these jobs, trying to save up to buy a duplex by the time I'm 21. And this guy said, hey, you should come get your license. In the post I mentioned I was going to college. So he said, drop out of college, come join me. You'll make a ton of money. And I didn't make any money, but I got involved in real estate.
What year was this? So people realize, sorry.
I made my post, I think it was December 2018. So I was 18 years old. Okay. I got my license in January of 2019. And fast forward, not doing a whole bunch, but observing a whole bunch, I ended up buying a 12-plex in September, October timeline of 2019. So 9-10 months later, I had bought that seller finance 12 unit, 0 money down.
Nice.
And my career has been built off of meeting with people that are a lot farther than me. So I'm actually wearing a Mason's Place sweatshirt today. It was the thing that felt comfy, but then I realized it actually made sense for a podcast because I met with so many owners that were way farther than me at this coffee shop. And I learned how they built their business. I learned when they expanded, when they contracted, and they ended up giving me a lot of opportunities to buy low quality properties with high unit count that had opportunity to improve and theoretically make money on as I raised rents. And I did what they told me to do over the course of 5 years and got to a couple hundred units, realizing that's not necessarily the answer.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get into that in a minute, but I want to go back to the beginning because it is, this channel, One Rental at a Time, is really about encouraging people, get uncomfortable, get out of your area. And one of the things I know about real estate investors kind of universally is they're willing to help people that are willing to do the work, right? You talk about these coffee shop meetings, and I think it's great you're wearing the sweatshirt because it's kind of one of those touchstones or memories. And, we're okay helping the next generation come up because we were that person at one point. We all were that person with 0 units, with stars in our eyes. And, we often want to help that person. We often want to make your path less bumpy than ours. But you, Cody, you got to keep showing up. You kept doing it, which you did, right? You ended up getting a 12 unit less than a year later. But I want people watching this to realize there's no magic. Cody wasn't some, gifted, eloquent speaker and doing all these flashy things. He was just finding people, asking questions. And so talk about the importance of doing that.
Well, everything you want, someone else has. And I didn't know how to communicate. I was a kid who, my mom would take me to McDonald's. I'd get the 4-piece. She'd say, "Hey, do you want more? Or you go with 4?" And I said, "I'm good with 4." And then I'd be hungry afterwards. She's like, "Okay, here's $2. Go ask for more chicken nuggets." And I wouldn't do it because I was too afraid to talk to people.
Wow.
So I would just, no, I'm okay. So it's just important to try and simplify everything you can so that you're not worrying about all these things that might happen, because they're usually not going to happen. And when I was getting started, my goal was just to figure out who has what I want, which was to be able to help my mom retire and I want to get multifamily. And I just thought multifamily because I had listened to the Cardones and the Kiyosakis,
Sure.
and they're putting all that out there. So that was going in my head. So I was like, okay, I got to go bigger. How could I do that? Because I wasn't smart enough to go become like a brain surgeon, earn a ton of money. And it wasn't the thing. I didn't think I had a path to getting ahead. So I figured, who has multifamily? Let's go meet them.
Yeah. I love that. That's, again, folks, there's beauty in simplicity. And I'm sure every conversation wasn't fun. I'm sure not everybody helped you, but the more often you had them, the better your chances of finding that person that was going to help you. So why don't we tell the full life story of that first 12 unit? So you get a seller financing, 0 down. Why don't you walk us through your whole ownership? If you still own it, great. If you sold it, great. But just walk through the struggles, because typically when you buy a building that's run down, there's some bumps and interesting curves in the road. So why don't you tell us the full life story?
So the weirdest part about my investing history, my first deal to this day is still my coolest property.
Nice.
It has the best debt product. It's the best building. But I bought it, and for those who are thinking, a 12-plex is too big, it's just one rental. It's 3 quadplexes on one lot, as simple as it can be. And so you got these 3 quads, and I went in, I bought it. I got it with $0 out of my actual pocket. I had to pay for inspection, which was $1,600 or something like that. But I bought it based off the idea of long-term debt. It's a 30-year fixed rate loan, no balloon.
Wow, seller financing, 30-year fixed rate note. Folks, it's possible. You know how many people tell me that's not possible? I'm like, you got to ask, right? Just crazy. Good job.
Yeah. And so I have no payoff because I was told you want as long-term debt as possible from my original mentor. And I was like, okay, 30 years. And they said, sure.
Right?
Yeah. So they said yes to that, 6% interest. A caveat to getting that financing was there's a 10% payment penalty for 10 years.
Okay. I've done that too. They don't want the money. They don't want the big payoff. It's a problem.
Right. So I've got another 4.5 years on that because I've owned that property for now 5.5 years.
Nice.
And since then, I've grown the rent roll from 9,700 to 15.2, I think it is right now.
Nice. Up 6. So that's up. What is that? 70%, 60%. Nice work.
It's up there, but in the process, I've gone in and made things a little nicer. Mm-hmm. But the bulk of what I've done wasn't all that much. I redid the water heaters. Okay. I actually added a unit. So I turned a 700 square foot basement with no windows. I got all engineered, and I actually used the equity a little bit. I put a HELOC against the property.
Sure.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but I got a HELOC against it to add a unit, and I replaced all the Zinsco electrical panels because I got dropped for insurance.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Yeah.
So, but the crazy thing, so this is what I don't like. I've got this long-term fixed rate debt product on the 12-plex. I've got the income up, but I have this prepayment penalty for another 4.5 years. So about 2 years ago, I put a 2-year basically like hard money second against it to do the projects because I didn't have the money back then to do the panels when I got called on that.
Yeah,
And
the panels. I mean, so is it 12 individual panels? Right, or 13, I guess. Right, you added a unit. So those aren't cheap, right? And rewiring and doing that's, I don't know what that was, probably 60 grand, maybe 90 grand. It's pretty expensive.
On that one, I was in the 40s.
Okay, well, good for you. All right.
But I give that contractor a lot of business, and I have for years. So, yeah, I got it done for a pretty decent price. And but the cool thing is, when I was running out of time on that, I couldn't refinance it. I had the equity, but I didn't have. I didn't want to pay the prepayment penalty. So I called the seller and said, "Hey, I'm trying to refinance this line of credit. Would you lend me the money?" And the seller actually lent me 100% of the money to pay off that line of credit in second position behind his first position note.
Wow.
So, and that line of credit was more than my initial down payment. So because I borrowed the down payment in the beginning from a hard money lender. So
sure.
So I actually basically have a zero cost basis deal because the lender paid me for it.
So I'm just curious, the second you got from the original seller, is it a 30-year again, or is it interest only, or how'd you negotiate that?
That was 12% interest only. And when I was getting started, I was working at that real estate office. And while I wasn't doing very hot on the brokerage side, I had sold a duplex and a mobile home. And I felt pretty good because I caught both sides of the mobile home, but the price was still only 120 grand. There were brokers in the office making multiple six figures a year. And I made very uneducated pitches to them. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, hey, this deal makes sense. It'll pay for the investor loan payment because it was, I borrowed 125 grand from them. So 12%, it was $1,250 a month. I could make that payment from the 12plex if everything went right. And they ended up pitching their clients. Their client funded the deal.
Nice.
Made the fee. And, but that was, all in all, 2 years of interest only at 12%. So it wasn't exactly low risk.
No, there you go. I like it. So again, let's go back to the twists and turns of the 12plex. So at some point you get a note from your insurance company, which I've had happen to me on apartment buildings. Hey, we are going to cancel or drop your insurance because the electrical panels are, call them old. That's not fun, right? So you got to go scramble. You didn't have the cash. You go get a quote. You fix it. You keep insurance. What are some other twists and turns that, again, just the life of a landlord, that's not all sunshine and rainbows?
When I added that unit, the contractor I had, their main person for window wells was busy. So they subbed it out. And the person they subbed it out to was recommended by the city. And that individual didn't know what they're doing. Small town things. So the second line of credit that went against the building that I used, I spent like 80 grand on that unit downstairs, and it flooded twice.
Oh.
So it flooded it, got it remediated, flooded again. So it's a $7,000 redo. I'm grateful that the property cash flows that in less than 2 months, but at the same time, it's still a lot of money.
Oh yeah, it is. It's not something you're planning for. You add the unit, you think you get it done right, and you get shocked by one and then another flood. That's that'll catch your attention.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but things happen. Some of the wiring in that building before I got it redone would go in line. So the whole thing, if you have one outlet explode, the whole circuit's done. So lights would be out to half the apartment. Oh, so I got to learn about wiring and plumbing. And because in the beginning I was the maintenance guy. I was the plumber. I was the electrician. And it was 3 hours from where I lived. So if something went out, I would drive 3 hours, figure out what plug exploded and why, and replace it. But I was self-managing in the beginning. I think that's important to mention too.
Sure.
But things don't go exactly to plan, and which is why you need to build a cash flow model. And people that build the equity growth only model eventually get slapped.
No, I agree with that. I'm glad you brought that up, and you've discovered that pretty early in your career. So congratulations. There's a lot of people, because we had a pretty good market from 18 to, I don't know, call it 23. where a lot of people got fooled into real estate always goes up. And if you are an appreciation investor and you're grinding and you're maximizing your debt and you're extracting every dollar, you could get got even if the market's just flat for a couple of years. And I'm glad that you caught that. So let's end the 12-unit story on a positive. What did you buy it for?
$1,125,000.
And what do you think the estimate value is today?
I think it would appraise for a refi around $2 million based on that market and the income.
So 900 grand equity gain on top of taking rent rolls from 9 to 15. So pretty good journey for what, 6 years or so?
Yeah, I like it, but to be fair, net worth isn't really all that cool. I mean, it's all made up, right? So
I agree 100%. 100%.
It's worth $2 million, but an investor doesn't pay what it's worth typically. So they're probably going to want to buy it for $1.8 million. So do I really have all that? No, but it's pretty on a balance sheet, and it's cool.
Looks good on a, what do they call that, statement? Yeah, financial statement. Looks good. Looks good. Well, while you were talking, Cody, there's a nice little cat that jumped over your left shoulder. Do you want to tell us his or her name?
Yeah, so that's Oreo, and I got her
that makes sense.
3 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, and my fiance had a dog before I met her named Hershey. So what are the odds?
Oh, Oreo and Hershey, you guys think alike. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a great story of the 12-unit, all of that. So now let's fast forward a little bit. You get to a point in your journey, which for this example, we'll call the top of the mountain, right? Max units, all growth, all gas, no brake. And there's probably a moment, maybe a couple of moments, where you just step back again, show your maturity above your age, and you're like, hey, we need to de-risk this. We need to simplify this. Talk about that moment maybe you and your fiance had where you're like, hey, we need to trim this. We need to simplify this a little bit. What happened?
I had a conversation with my mentor, and my mentor and I, he's been there since 5 years ago. I met him in 2019. Mm-hmm. I did my first deal with him in 2020 where he sold me a building and financed it for me. And I looked at his portfolio. He has built a portfolio much more similar to Dion, just more units. So right. He's in that 70 unit range. I think he's around 72, 73, but they're all new construction. They're all renting for $1,800 to $2,000. And he only has like $1 million of debt.
Oh,
so
damn.
That was what I initially reacted as well.
How do I get some of that?
So I was like, how can you sell or finance all these? He's like, oh, I just paid them off. So I'm working on a 1031 right now on a brand new construction 7-plex. He built it, and that's owned in cash as well. So it's
wow.
It's pretty amazing to see what people have built, and less units, but getting more. And I realized
Say that again. Less units, but getting more. There's magic in that.
It's phenomenal. I have more profit with 98 units than I had 10 months ago with 200.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, I've got more profit with 98 units than I had with 200.
Folks,
10 months ago.
Yeah, folks, stop getting enamored with the unit count. It's a shit number. I don't know what other word. It doesn't matter. There are people flexing on social media talking about having thousands of units. They don't. They got 1% of something for raising money, or, building an empire of 200 units that is very stressful, highly leveraged, lots of complexity is not the goal. The goal should be able to have enough cash flow coming in to enjoy your life. And if you could do that simply with less stress at 98 units than 200, do that. Right, Cody?
Absolutely. And part of that is when you have a simpler portfolio and a nicer portfolio, it's easier to optimize your debt. What I found is I built this bigger than usual business in 5 years without syndicating, and banks said, whoa, we don't really want to lend to you right now.
Yeah, we don't understand what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and that's what they told me. And it wasn't just one lender, it was most lenders. I had a few people that believed in me, and some smaller banks and credit unions that lent me a lot of money to refinance these things. But most of them said, look, I need you to prove yourself for probably another 2-3 years before we'll consider giving you a loan, because you have a lot of stuff going on and it's a lot of old properties. So my takeaway was, okay, if my mentor makes 6 figures a month in cash flow, not high 6 figures, but he makes 6 figures a month
Yeah,
cash flow.
I did the math in my head. It's 6 figures. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, because his only $1 million loan is in the 4% range. So it's like, if he can make that much with that few units, right?
Yeah.
I don't need 200 units.
No.
Let me upgrade to newer stuff so I'm more bankable. Let me own less stuff, but own it by myself and just have a foundation.
Nice.
And then with 98 units, real estate doubles every 15, 17 years or so in my market. So
yeah,
if I just wait, I will buy more stuff. But if I didn't, I'll be okay.
No, this is amazing. I hope more and more people are taking a hold of this. Again, it's about understanding what you need, about understanding your life. I think one of the things that Dion does so well is he takes it out of the real estate and just, asks you to kind of design your life and then figure out what that life costs. And then his words, I believe, is like, what's the fewest number of units I need to get that life? And then, folks, you won the game. You can stop playing. You don't have to buy if you've kind of covered the nut. You can if you want. You can if you get a good deal, right? The beauty about real estate investing is once you have that skill, you always have that skill. And, you could take advantage of opportunities. So it's amazing. So why don't you, talk about the 10-month journey going from 200 to 98?
Yeah. So that was a mix of needing money and wanting to dissolve partnerships. The other thing that people don't see with the 200 units in 4 years, which is what it took to get there, was I borrowed a ton of money. It wasn't all at once, and it wasn't from just one person, but there was a point where I owed investors close to $1 million, and it was owing people money. Example, I had bought a couple smaller rentals, and I ended up buying out those investors on notes. I didn't have the money, so that they seller financed their ownership to me, so I owned 100% of the asset.
Got it.
So I just started owing these people money in exchange for owning all these assets. So eventually I was just like, all right, enough's enough. If I keep adding investor debt, eventually this is gonna, it'll still cash flow, but it's gonna be too stressful. It's gonna implode. Yeah. So my thought was, okay, let me sell out of some of the other partnerships that I'm still in. Ended up selling out of a 24 unit. Just sold out of a 30 unit last Monday. And that's the last deal I'm planning on selling, just to take the money and pay down debt.
Right.
But it just became the mindset of, okay, what's enough? And 98 units for me is enough. And
that's awesome.
It's a solid foundation. And now I don't owe close to $1 million to investors. I owe about 450, and I'm just paying it down.
That off. Yeah.
And once it's gone, it's going to feel amazing. So I'm excited to be there.
Yeah. So you've probably thought about it. How long do you think it'll take to get rid of the last 450? Are we talking a couple years, or what do you think?
It depends on if I decide to earn it or borrow it. Because my thought was, if rent goes up on my units $50, add 60 grand in net operating income, well, a year, essentially a little less than that, I'd be able to borrow the 450 and just write a check. But then I'd be moving
from a bank. So
yeah,
you're just moving debt. Okay.
I'd be moving debt, but it would lower the cost of capital quite a lot. And
yeah, you'd go from 12 to 8 or 7 or whatever.
Yeah, and it would go from interest only to amortized, so it'd be paying itself down. But
sure,
the new net income of the assets, nothing that I currently have, would be what's paying for it. So I've looked at it that approach. I've looked at how could I earn $450,000, and in my little market of Moses Lake, Washington, I don't think being a real estate agent is going to net me that.
Yeah, I got
but It'll probably be a combination of both in the next 18 months to pay all that off.
That's amazing. Again, because so what I'm hearing you say is paying off that last 450 is a significant goal of yours, right?
Mhm.
Paying off that, I'm just going to guess that paying that off probably increases your net cash flow 5, 6, 7 grand. It's a significant chunk, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's a chunk of money. And fortunate for me, one of those notes is for 200,000. The 450s at 4% IO. So
Oh,
some
okay.
of it's really low, but it'll still save me mid 3,000s a month.
Okay. And
And
all that's gravy. It's all extra.
yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
pretty amazing. So I'm looking forward to that because that's more than I spend to live. My cost
Yeah.
of living right now. Yeah, I spend $2,000 to live right now. So
Oh,
we
folks,
rent a cheap apartment and we're saving money, and like that's the way it should be in the beginning.
dude, there's magic in that. Again, he lives on 2 grand a month. Right. So if you have, and if you're on a mission to, add an extra 3,000 or 3,500 in cash flow, that's all gravy. That's amazing, Cody. I mean, there's so many things that you do just natively that are both simple and powerful, right? Something you could have done, and I'm sure you've seen this in others, is you get a little success, you start feeling yourself, and you just increase your lifestyle. You go from Cody living on ramen noodles to, Cody eating sushi and, bigger house and 5 cars and all the toys. And pretty soon you're not living on 2 grand a month. You're living on 9 grand a month. And that's where things can get wild. So the fact that you stayed disciplined, you stayed true to yourself at 2K a month it's probably the secret to your success, right? Because you could have easily doubled or tripled your lifestyle. And if you had done that, you might have blown up.
Well, I'll say there's been a couple nights where I've looked at the McLaren and I'm like, no, I put my phone down and just keep going. But
Smart man.
I mean, it's fun to look, but that's all it should be right now.
What I would tell you to do is just rent it for the weekend. Just because, again, I know a lot of people that have supercars now. I live in Vegas. Most of them, A, don't drive them, and B, most of them tell me they should have just rented it, right? Because it was some
Wow.
itch they had. And yeah, they keep them in the garage. At least I drove my dream car. Right? I got 106,000 miles on my dream car. So, anyways,
Which is
I was 18 years old selling car stereos full commission, and a dentist rolled in an black. His is black, mine's white. Mercedes-Benz SL at the time 500, 2-door V8 turbo hard top, drop top, just beautiful car. So that's what I own. I've owned it for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years and put 100,000 miles on it. So I still smile every day I turn it on. It's got this ballsy engine. It's awesome.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. If you're going to buy a car, drive it, damn it. Stop making it a garage car. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this. So Cody in the beginning meets people, asks questions, gets started, grows to 200, now comes down the mountain to 98, on target to pay off 450,000, at least 250 of that's high debt, 200 at 4%. Nice work. Where does Cody go from here? What happened? Where does Cody go from here? And how old are you? Like 26, 25, 26?
I just turned 25 2 months ago.
All right. So you're 25. You've probably got 100 years ahead of you. Right?
Oh my,
so
that's
awesome.
a lot. We'll see.
This is great. Where do you go from here, Cody?
When I got started, my mentor, who now I'm working on deals with more so than I was back then, said developers are the richest people on planet Earth till they can't finish their projects. And the difference between the ones that finish and the ones who don't are cash flow. And so he's in development now, and he's building bigger and bigger buildings. He's doing it in cash, so that's a different position to be in. But
oh yeah, that's strong. Yeah, it's hard to go broke paying cash. See Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, but the reason he said that thing on development is he's like, this is where you should try and grow to. However, you're going to get slapped if you try it too soon. Is my takeaway from that convo. And
I agree.
He said his number was 40 rentals. He said, get to 40 rentals and then get the leverage down on those so you have cash flow, and then do your first development and you can build it to sell it, pay the taxes, put the money in the bank. And then you can start to build it with less leverage and keep it. And eventually you can build it in cash. And if you really want to go bigger, then you can stack a bunch of cash for a couple of years and go do a bigger development and be okay. But that's where you make most of the money.
Nice.
So that's where I believe I will go to in the next 5 years. Not big scale, but build a 10-plex here, 20-plex there, try and do it with low leverage, but getting everything I own currently in a position to where that's not a super high risk dice roll.
Yeah, I love all of this. So let's fast forward 3 years. Actually, let me ask it this way. What is the LTV when you look at your 98 units today? Are you sitting at like 65, 70% now that you've delevered a lot? Or where are you? What's your guesstimate you're at today?
Right now, before I sell my 6-plex for the 1031, I'm in the 60s. I've got some stuff in the 50s. I have a couple things in the 70s.
Okay, so you're averaging 60-ish, 65.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm 60 to 65. But I have a tax problem because I sold out of those properties. It's the other thing people don't say online. They talk about how much money they make and not how much they pay in taxes.
Yeah.
So I've got a low 6-figure tax bill I have to wipe out. And so what I'm doing is I'm 1031ing my 6-plex, selling it for 600. I'm going to take 120,000 of that and buy this brand new 7-plex for $1,650,000, which is about what those are worth for new construction.
Sure.
And seller finance, 7% down right now. Okay. I'm going to make it recourse debt so that the debt amount can count towards my basis, and I'm going to cost seg it.
Okay. And then you're going to wipe out the 6-figure.
Yeah, because if I didn't do recourse debt, then the debt amount wouldn't count towards my basis, is what I've been told.
Okay.
So doing that one little tweak in the seller finance note will allow me to wipe that out. But the reason I'm bringing that up is my leverage is about to go higher because I'm buying a $1,650,000 deal, 7% down.
Got it. So, but on purpose, right? You have a solve for that. You're trying to pay off a 6-figure IRS bill or state bill, whatever it is. Okay, I like it. So,
and it'll cash flow.
Yeah. So let's fast forward 5 years. So now you're 30. Congratulations. What do you think your LTV is at 30? Obviously, you'll have some appreciation, right? You'll have some pay down. You may have bought more. Do you see yourself getting sub? I guess I'm asking, do you see yourself going sub 50% given what your mentors kind of coaching you?
I believe I will. But the nice thing is I know how to buy stuff 90% leverage where it cash flows. So if I want to ramp it up, I can do it really quickly.
Yeah, you can turn it on or off.
Right. And so I imagine I'll take some of my stuff down even lower than 50%. And I'll just try and find what's the best debt product. So if I have an asset that wouldn't get a very ideal debt product, I won't lever that. I'll just lever the bigger asset with a lower interest rate, better term.
Okay.
And look at it as a portfolio, not to kill any one deal for cash flow. I don't want to ever have a negative bleed. But
yeah, we call those alligators, Cody. Those are alligators.
Yeah.
You don't want.
We don't want it chomping at us.
No, exactly. It's a great image. The only picture in my first book, an alligator eating bagfuls of money. Not good.
Yeah, so I don't want any of those, and so I'll just try and optimize it the best I can. But I met with a guy to just do an aside really quick, and his family owns about 1,000 units, almost paid in cash in LA.
Wow. Oh, geez.
Yeah, they're big players, and they don't syndicate. They've just been doing it the family's been doing it for 60, 70 years.
Right.
So they built their principles, and some of their principles talk about what generation uses what leverage point. And when you're growing, where do you stay at? And it's kind of cool to build. So I don't know that I want to pay anything off right now, but I have a feeling that that'll be instilled in the next generation to come for my family.
Yeah. No, I think that's the beauty of real estate it is something that can go from generation to generation. You could take the principles that you've owned, pass it on to the next generation when that comes. And yeah, it would not be shocking to me that you deliver a portfolio, that's largely free and clear. I mean, that's something Olivia and I are talking about now, right? We're 30 years ahead of you. And we're seriously looking at, like, how do we deliver this to our daughter in the most, efficient way with the least amount of headaches. One thing that we didn't get right, at least yet, is Teresa, that's my daughter's name, has no interest in real estate. So we're trying to solve for that. We've got hopefully a couple more decades to go, so maybe she'll come around. But yeah, there's this can be generational. So I applaud you for thinking about that.
Well, that's an interesting topic, because all the people that sold me property, none of their kids were interested. And they spent the time that you're talking about spending trying to convince them. So they put their kids in a position of being a lender where all those properties got converted to notes that pass over.
Yep.
With rather large prepayment penalties, so that their kids wouldn't likely get a large sum of money for a long period of time.
Yeah, one of the things you've got to realize is, when you get to be older in this and you're starting to look at, right sizing your portfolio for the next generation, turning it into a seller finance note with a big prepayment penalty is the right answer. Because for some people, a big chunk of money is a problem, right? You don't want that fall on your kids because maybe they don't have money habits or whatever. You don't want the tax bill, the depreciation recapture, all of that nastiness. There's unwinding this as you get older is really takes some planning. So again, seller financing with the big 10-year prepay or whatever it is a very good idea, and something we will likely leverage. Yes.
It's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else is going on with you? You're getting married? Did I hear a rumor you're getting married?
Getting married in October, so that'll be fun. That's another stage in life. And we've been talking for a couple of years, and now we're committing to that later this year. So that's, I think, fun. 8-9 months out. Yeah.
Nice.
And after that, I mean, she's got her own real estate portfolio from before me. So that's pretty cool. She's
nice. You're going to be two legends together.
Yeah, it's fun. She's up to 10 rentals, and she's on her journey to get to 35, because that was the unit count number in her market that she feels will get her what she wants.
Okay.
And so we'll see if that ends up being true.
Where you are? Is she in Washington too?
Yeah, we live together. Originally, so she had gotten a surgery over in Tennessee. She was getting out of the Army and jumping out of planes and helicopters. Your knees tend to get busted up. So
yeah,
there was a period of time where I flew over there to live in Tennessee.
Oh.
And we were in Clarksville, which is just north of Nashville. It's on the Kentucky border. And now we're here to stabilize my business, and she moved here. And our family both lives in Washington State. So
okay,
it's convenient.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Enjoy the journey. Being married it's awesome. When you get the right partner, I know Dion and Mike and all those guys make fun of it, but I got to tell you, being married for 30 some odd years is awesome. Right? When you have somebody you can count on, it's there for the good and the bad, the memories, the growth, because you both will grow and mature. Get family, kid or kids. You have a lot to look forward to, Cody.
I'm looking forward to it a lot. Yeah, I wanted 2 kids. She wanted 3. We settled on 3. You know how that
works. You want 2, well, she wants 3. She gets 3.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but it's going to be a lot of fun memories, I'm sure, to come. And
oh yeah, you're going to have a blast.
Growing one day at a time, trying to keep all these things moving in the right direction.
Well, I think you're doing a great job. Well, one of the things we talked about off air, I wanted to make sure we closed with, is you used to do a lot of running, and then you started walking, and you dropped weight. What the hell is that all about?
Yeah, low intensity stuff. Pretty cool. I dropped about 7 pounds, and wow. I saw some photos. 7 pounds on me moves the needle. I was chubby, like really chubby for a while. So I'm glad that's down. I'm 5'8".
Okay, so 5'8", 7 pounds. Okay, and you're 25, so that's crazy. So I'm 5'10". I've been doing this health thing, so I dropped 19 pounds, and walking has been a shocking discovery. It's just 7 weeks, 19 pounds. It's crazy. 10%. I dropped 10% of my body in 7 weeks. It's wild.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
But you do your 20,000 step walk once a week, yeah?
Well, Saturday. So basically, what my goal is 100,000 steps a week. So it's about 14,000 steps a day, but I can't do that every day. So Saturday is like my makeup day. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 25,000. But yeah, I think the longest I did was 31,000 steps on Saturday, just to get to the goal. So I'm one of those crazy committed guys.
Well, and it shows because you've had success with 30-year marriage and with your portfolio and your health now.
I appreciate that. Cody, if somebody want to reach out, follow you, where are you? Are you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? Where's Cody at?
Yeah, on my YouTube, Cody Davis Business Adventures. I'm on there, and I've just been sharing videos every Tuesday and Thursday for the last little while. And
nice.
It's a little channel starting to grow past 1,000 subscribers a week ago, and
congratulations.
Made it. But no, it's not about that, but it's fun to post videos, and it's getting a lot more engagement than I thought it would. So it's cool to see people are enjoying it.
Well, let's be honest. You're Gen Z. You've had an amazing 5-year run. If you stay consistent Tuesday and Thursday, and you just keep being who you are, like you were on this show, honest and authentic, you'll be shocked at where it is in 2 years. Shocked. So keep it up.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. I love that, Cody. You're amazing, man. Take care. Congratulations on all the success. Congratulations on the upcoming nuptials. You're amazing, man. Keep it up.
Thank you.